Hello everyone, Diana here. This segment we're going to cover the fact that diets actually cause weight gain and obesity. I have an article on my website and it's called YIKES, Diets Actually Cause Weight Gain and Obesity. And I'm probably not going to point out specific studies throughout this. By the way, I've got my notes like always because, like always, I'll go off on tangents really bad, and this will be 2 or 3 hours long, and who's got that kind of time? So I'm going to be looking at my notes because that's what I do. So while I'm going over this information, this is all backed by scientific studies and research. Much of these you can find at PubMed. I'll always encourage you to go find the studies yourself, read them yourself. And the reason I do that is because there are a lot of diets and weight loss programs that will tell you, according to this scientific study, according to that research. But what they do when I go to look up these particular scientific studies and researches that they're talking about in experiments, I'll go pull it up. And what I discover is that these weight loss programs and these diets, they're only extracting very specific information out of these studies. And so they're presenting it to you that, what these studies came up with was X, Y, and Z, but they forget to give you the A, B, and C. And that's significant because it changes the whole thing. And that's what I found. And so that's why I won't just tell you, this study said this and that research said that, and, the neuroscientists said this or whatever. I'll tell you to go get the studies yourself, because you want to make sure you're getting all the information, because what these diets and weight loss programs leave out is significant. It changes the whole thing. But you don't know that, because they're not going to tell you that. They're trying to sell you a product, and they're not going to be able to sell that product to you if they give you the whole truth. So they only give part of the truth. They leave out part of the truth, which changes the whole picture. So I'm always going to encourage you to go find these studies yourself. The research studies in this particular segment, these were studies done in 2006, they were studied done in 2008, 2012, 2014, and 2016. And when I say these studies were done at these times, this is when they were completed and published. The scientific studies that back up this information that I'm about to give you, these are studies that were done over a long period of time. And that is significant too. So, there are some diets that will tell you, oh, this study says that this kind of a diet works best, works better, the low carb diet works better than the low fat diet. Is that over a short period of time. The studies were only done over a short period of time. So, but what's the long run effect? What long term, how does that look? And they don't give you that information. Why? Because you won't buy the whole low carb diet garbage. It works in the beginning, but most diets do in the beginning for most people. None of them ever worked for me. Not for an ounce. So these studies were done in 2006, 2008, 2012, 2014, 2016. And these studies were done over the span of between 4 and 10 years. So they're long-term studies. So we've got some really good scientific backing. Most of them you find at PubMed. There's one at nature.com. Probably we'll find that one at PubMed, actually. Onlinelibrary.wiley.com. That's another one. But most of them, like I say, they're done at, I get them from PubMed. I trust PubMed. And I always look to see who backed the science and the studies too, because that's important also. Because, if a corporation sponsored the study, then the corporation owns it and they can reword it any way they want. So they don't even have to give you the actual studies, the actual findings. So I'm really very particular as to what studies and research and information that I incorporate and that I will then turn around and give to you or anybody. I am a truth seeker. I want the truth, whether I like it or not. Don't sugarcoat anything for me. I just want the truth. Give me the truth. And so here it is. I'm going to go over this. My notes. I'm going to go off on a really long tangent, so it's just saving us all time. So I'm going to be looking, and I just tend to look a lot over at the screen. Maybe it's just habit of mine because I'm always working on the screen. I'm always pulling up research and studies and doing, research and stuff myself, because that's what I do. I just always have to make sure that I have all the right stuff, the very best thing, the very best ways. Okay. Oh, and I'm going to be doing another segment on why diets fail. I have a list of reasons why diets and weight loss programs fail you. And so that'll be interesting. Make sure you come back and check out that one. Subscribe right there. Click subscribe and keep coming back and keep learning more and more. The more knowledge you gain, the more information you get, the more power you're going to have, and the easier it's going to be to transform your body and transform your life in a most magnificent way. I'm excited. The Biggest Loser. Does everybody remember that? The Biggest Loser. That was like a great show, right? Everybody was all on board. They actually had this Biggest Loser diet, right? And so many Americans jumped on board. They did because of the numbers. These were just crazy. So the Biggest Loser boasted an average weight loss of about 129 pounds. That's big, right? That's really, really big. And this had people like just flocking to this diet in droves. Like no other diet in history have they ever heard of obtained such results. These are big, big numbers. So like if you're obese and you hear about how something causes an average weight loss of 129 pounds, you're going to be on that, right? Of course. But don't go jump on that yet, because it all sounds so good. But what ended up happening? What was the long-term effects? Those Biggest Losers had gained back an average of 70% of their weight in a relatively short span of time. So that's losing 129 pounds and then regaining more than 90 pounds back. So now we can't boast 129 pound average weight loss, can we? No, now we can boast about 40. They do this, they're gaining back this other 90 pounds while they're depriving themselves. They're not letting themselves eat foods that they love because they're on this strict Biggest Loser diet. The fact is, by now, most of those participants have gained back all of their weight, and many of them gained back and then some. They're bigger now than they started out before they got onto the Biggest Loser. And that's sad. That's so sad because they worked so hard for so long. And they were so stoked about the results that they got, only to turn around and get bit in the ass. That's what that is, because they didn't fail, right? What happened? But I'll tell you, I wasn't surprised at all with the whole weight, gaining the weight back. We refer to that as weight gain rebound, and I wasn't surprised about this weight gain rebound. Now, studies. After studying those who participated in that diet, the study that was completed in 2016 revealed that those participants were burning about 500 fewer calories a day than their counterparts. That's huge, right? That's gaining a pound a week according to the whole calories in, calories out garbage. But that is really, really big. Why were they burning 500 less calories a day? And the thing of it is 6 years later, they were still burning 500 fewer calories a day than their counterparts. 6 years later, they were still dealing with the side effects of this diet. Okay, so we could probably call that permanent, right? Those side effects. And they, like, at each check-in along the way at the study, they were burning 500 fewer calories. So that's almost immediately. Their metabolism dropped, it decreased, and it stayed that way for years. Years! This is why it is that when we do a diet, we'll end up gaining back all that weight, and we end up gaining back more and hold on to that long term. Okay? The metabolic rate seemed to have permanently decreased by an average of 500 calories a day. So the question is this phenomena of decreased metabolic rate restricted to just the Biggest Loser diet? No. Well, this study was completed in 2016. There was another study done prior to this that was completed in 2008 that showed the same results. Those who diet burn significantly fewer calories each day than those who don't. Go on a weight loss diet and suddenly you're not burning as many calories. You just knock down your metabolic rate. And so the studies show that dieting actually does more harm than good, not to mention that the weight loss from dieting is only temporary. So I just want to ask you, what good is a diet or a weight loss program if the results are only temporary, and then you're going to end up back in the same position, or worse, end up in a worse position, end up weighing more than you weighed before you started this? What good is that? Like, do you want to have to work for that beach body every single year? I wouldn't want to do that. That's nuts. That's a crazy cyclic way of living. And for 20 years, I didn't have to get ready for the beach. I was fine. So it is estimated that within 5 to 6 years, approximately 41% of dieters will not only rebound, but will gain more weight than they lost. Scientific. Like the study done with the Biggest Loser and other dieters, there have been a number of other long-term studies that indicate that those who diet are at a much higher risk, listen to this, of becoming obese than those who don't over the next 1 to 15 years. If you do a weight loss diet, you're at a higher risk of becoming obese over the next 1 to 15 years than anybody who doesn't diet. Think about this. You know, you want to take care of yourself. We don't want to make the situation worse, right? So, weight loss diets. Look at the studies. And now, the studies don't just tell you what don't work. Studies will tell you what does work, too. And that's how I put my program together. That's how I designed my program, is combining the studies to show the things that don't work together with the studies that show what does work. For the dieters, you're at a higher risk of becoming obese over the next 1 to 15 years. And that's what happened to me. Because when I first became overweight, what did I do? I went on a diet. I did a weight loss diet. And then I ended up weighing more than I started. You know, and it was just with every diet. Every diet I did, I became higher and higher at risk for obesity. And I certainly didn't think that could happen to me. My family's not obese. I mean, we're the fat family. You know, I do come from the fat family. But they weren't obese, and I didn't think that would happen to me. No, in fact, I was different from everybody else. When I was a little kid, I was a skinny little thing. So yeah, I was mortified when I was told that I was obese. Now, I just want to say, I want to put this out here, right? Just to cut off any idea that this dieting effect has anything at all to do with the genetic disposition. A 2012 study of twins, so they come from the same genes. In 2012, in this study, researchers reported, and I'm going to quote, so I'm going to be reading the whole thing. I'm going to quote, "Our results suggest that frequent dieting reflects susceptibility to weight gain, rendering dieters prone to future weight gain. They further state that dieting itself induces subsequent weight gain, which has nothing to do with genetic factors." There was a group of twins, so I forget how many people total were in the study, but they took the twins, and what they did is they would have one identical twin. They were identical twins. They would have one of the identical twins do a diet, a weight loss diet, and the other one not diet at all. And this is what they found. The twin that dieted ended up bigger than the twin that did not. The twin that dieted in most cases ended up significantly bigger. So, so it's got nothing to do with genes. It's not genetic. So there was another study done in 2006 on athletes. Listen to this. Athletes that diet to qualify for their weight class found, the study found that even athletes that diet are more likely to become obese later on in life than those athletes who don't diet. The study showed that athletes that go on and off diets are three times more likely to become obese than their non-dieting athlete counterparts. And they're also twice as likely to become obese than non-athletes. These are athletes. And the conclusion of the study? Repeated cycles of weight loss and regain appear to enhance subsequent weight gain and may predispose to obesity. In other words, diets cause obesity. Chronic dieting with weight cycling may be harmful for permanent weight control. So if you've been on diet after diet, you go on a diet, you lose some weight, then you gain it back, then you do another diet, and you lose some weight, and you gain it back, and you keep ending up bigger and bigger and bigger, this is the reason why. I have long held that thinking and beliefs are directly related to one's weight. Oh, you'll hear me talk about that all the time. Your thinking has got a big deal to do with it. It's big. And no, I don't think it's the end-all be-all, but it certainly absolutely plays a role. And one study kind of like shows this. So there's a study done by eBody, the eBody Project. You can find this online. The eBody Project in 2014 shows that changing a person's way of thinking and their personal self-defeating beliefs alone can lead to large weight gain prevention. That's their words. I've got that in quote. As compared to their counterparts with no intervention at all. So there's at least one study done that shows that the way you think about your body and weight will absolutely impact how much you end up weighing today, tomorrow, next year. So I don't just pull things out of my behind here. As I was struggling and going through and learning things myself 20 years ago, of course I was coming up with hypotheses, and I'm paying attention to all these things going on around me at the time too. Like one of the things that I was paying attention to is other people who were doing diets, and because like I said, like I believed that the diets and the pills and the things that I did back then worked for people, but it just didn't work for me. Well, I believed that it worked for people because, these things had testimonies to them. Well, one of my segments I'm going to go into and tell you about where these testimonies come from. So let me just put it out there right now. Don't believe any testimonies from any product, any diet, anything, unless it is somebody that you know. Don't believe them because they're bought and paid for. All right, I'll go into a segment about that at some point. I believe that one of the reasons for the weight gain prevention in the participants is that the participants stopped dieting and stopped thinking about diets. They stopped thinking about thin bodies. They stopped thinking about weights. And what they started to think on, what they started to focus on was healthy bodies and healthy minds instead. And that was the prevention that they did at the eBody Project. This is done for young girls. I'm so happy there's a prevention out there. I'm so happy there's somebody that's teaching these young girls, don't think about weight. It's just going to cause the problem. So there's that, the science that shows that it actually slows down your metabolic rate. It slows down your metabolism. It slows down your body's ability to burn fat. I will say that probably a good 90% of the extra obesity in this country today is, about 90% of it, I'll blame that on diets, on weight loss diets. And I can do that and feel comfortable about that because of the studies that have been done. And there's been a number of studies dozens and dozens of studies done, and not just in the United States. Studies have been done all over the world because, newsflash, obesity is not an epidemic in the U.S. alone. It's an epidemic worldwide. The World Health Organization is starting to step in because it's a worldwide epidemic at this point. Even third world countries, really, really poor countries, are having a problem with obesity. But, you know, diets are being pushed. Cut back on the food that you eat, and it's just craziness. And to me, it makes no sense when what we do know is that our bodies are starving. They're starving for nutrition. We don't have enough nutrition going into our bodies. And so to turn around and tell you the way to take care of your problem is to further starve your body, that's nuts. Like, that's ass backwards. And you don't have to be an Einstein to figure that one out. So I'm just going to end it, I'm going to end this here. Again, go to PubMed and look up research studies that have been done on diets and what that shows. Research studies on weight loss diets. And what you're going to come up with in the end, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I am never doing another weight loss diet again. And I hope you don't. Don't ever. I mean, I've done some weight gain over the years. I gained 10 pounds over stress, and then, I take a look at, okay, what's going on, what's happening, and I figure that out, and then I make the adjustments that I need to make. It's usually just one or two, and they're simple, and I'll make that adjustment, the weight comes right back down again, and I'm right back where I was again. And so, I mean, I've never been more than 15 pounds over. And that was just one time when it was the whole hormonal thing, me getting older, the whole hormonal thing. And, it took me a couple of minutes to admit that, I was over 40. That's probably hormonal change that, middle-aged women go through. I just didn't want to admit that I was middle-aged. I think because I just feel like my mind is so young. And my body always feels good. So I just don't realize I'm getting older. I have to keep telling myself, you're almost 50, Diana, you're almost 50. But I think I do very amazing for my age. I go up mountains. I love to get to the mountain summits. I can walk around Manhattan for 15 hours, and I'm good. I'm good. I do all kinds of things, scurrying up rocks and mountains and things like that. I have a whole lot of fun at my age, so I have to keep reminding myself how old I am. Diana, you're not 25 anymore. Now, I'm going to wrap this up here. When we come to understand quantum physics, which is, something that I have a little interest in, when we come to understand quantum physics, even as an amateur, particularly quantum entanglement, look that up, then we can begin to understand the dynamics of weight gain, weight loss, and weight gain rebound, as well as many other things related to our mind, our body, and our health. And it just all makes sense. There's just so much that quantum physics is learning and discovering, and has been learning and discovering for probably close to 100 years. It's really, really mind-blowing. It has everything to do with our bodies and how things work. It's really interesting. So, and that ties into your mind, your thinking, the way that you think. No, it's not the end-all to be-all, but it is significant. Very significant, like the 2014 study that the eBody Project did. It shows that. So if you don't want to get any bigger, don't diet. Don't go on a weight loss diet. And when you're coming across like new diets or weight loss plans or stuff that you've never seen before, and you want to figure out if it's going to work, because, I mean, sooner or later, I'm thinking somebody's got to come up with something that actually works. And maybe they have. Like I said, I haven't looked into every single weight loss program and diet program out there. Not yet. Because there's a new one coming out every day, another one coming out every day. When you do come across something new, especially if it says that it's got science behind it, you're going to want to know who did the study, where was the study done, when was the study done, How long did it last? And where can you find that publication so that you could read it yourself? Because remember I said earlier that a lot of these programs are really very good at pulling out just itty-bitty pieces of information from these studies and feeding you that and keeping the other information away from you. And the information that they keep from you is pretty significant, such as, you know, this diet works better than that diet. Well, that was only over 6 months. How does this diet fare over 6 years? How does that diet fare over 10 years? Does the person ever gain weight back again? And so that's what I'd be interested in. I don't care about short-term studies. Well, one diet will help you lose weight faster than the other. Does it matter how fast you lose weight? I mean, I would think that what matters is when it comes off, it stays off, right? I mean, why would you work to lose 10 pounds or 100 pounds on some program that you're only going to get it back, you know, within 5 years or less? Who would want to do that? That's a waste of all of your time, your effort, depriving yourself for years. Is it worth it? And then in the end, you're probably going to end up weighing more than you did before you started that diet. I don't think it's worth it. And it hurts your body. It physically injures your body, which is you know, something that I'm going to go into a little bit in my next segment, because that's what I'm going to do next, is the 10 reasons why diets fail you. So make sure you subscribe, because when that gets uploaded, you're going to want to read it. Thanks.